Hello and good morning and welcome to day 13 of the Moving Mountains journey. And yesterday afternoon, as I was walking on the beach with my wife Ashiana, we had a funny experience that kind of reminded me of our lesson today. We were walking south along the beach toward the headland, and it was late afternoon and the sun was beginning to set and the sky was beautiful. But the wind was really strong, and it was blowing this wild sea of sand north from and as we walked up the south, our bodies were literally leaned this way to walk into the wind, and there was little particles of sand that were kind of blasting past us and cleaning our skin, I'm sure. And it was a really interesting, we enjoying the walk, but we almost had to keep our eyes closed so we didn't get sand in our eyes and that sort of thing. But it's the normal way that we walk when we come down on this beach, so we just kind of did it without even thinking about it. And we walked up that way for a while, and then when it was time to turn around, we turned around, and as we turned around and started walking back this way, oh man, it was as though we were then walking with the wind, this wind that was behind us, and it was pushing us. And I kept thinking that I could just run like Peter Pan and just leap into the air, and then I would just be carried. And I'm pretty sure I probably could have. And we just kept commenting on how much easier it was, and how we just felt like we were being lifted. Our steps were being lifted as we walked. And I think that's the way the mind is a lot of times. Oftentimes we can get into a very narrow or very focused way of thinking about a specific area in our life or a specific person or a relationship, and we can have our kind of blinders in a way that is walking against the current or against the wind of the situation. And in that space, it feels like we're just being blasted, and our mind tends to then spiral into negative places or negative kind of focus points. And it's as a result of this it's as though we're locked into a specific way of looking at something, and it's not really the natural or highest way to see it. But that if we can simply flip and turn our perspective, if we can take our eyes from the bottom of this spiral and look up, we'll see that, wow, there's a great light breaking from the clouds, and it's a beautiful space to be. And it's often as easy as shifting our focus, shifting the way we're walking from that way to that way, or shifting the way we're looking from this way to this way, to realize, wow, here I am, and I was looking at the ground and it all looked so dark and bleak. But then as soon as I opened my eyes and lifted up and looked this way, suddenly the sun's shining and everything's wide open and possible again. So again, this is the trick of our mind. If it's stuck in a way, or if it's looking in a certain direction, it can often miss the gifts or the magic that the moment might hold. And we can be stuck pushing against something and using every bit of our mental power to take each step, when really if we just turn the other way, we see that the wind would actually be lifting us and carrying our steps as we went. And there's a wonderful magician in this area who does some really amazing things. He's called the Space Cowboy, and he swallows swords, and he bends spoons, genuinely bends spoons with his mind. He does all sorts of really amazing things, and his show is sort of part trickery and part truly amazing mental expression. And one of the things that he says before some of his bigger feats is he just says, just leave a space in your mind for what is possible. And it's a pretty neat idea, really, because oftentimes we can't imagine what's possible. We don't know what's coming next. And so the idea of just leaving a space in our mind for what is possible, making it possible, just opening up our eyes and our perception to actually experience what is happening. And it reminds me of a story that I heard about this tribe in the South Pacific. And I don't know if it's a true story, but it's a fascinating idea. And the story was that there was a tribe in the South Pacific that when the pioneers or settlers or explorers first arrived in their big boats out on the horizon, that most of the tribe actually couldn't even see the boats. The boats were so far beyond their perception of what a boat is that for hours they couldn't actually even see what these things were on the horizon, and that it was only the medicine man or the shaman that was actually able to perceive the boats for what they were, and then through him looking at the boats and seeing them and describing them, slowly they began to materialize actually in the eyes and the perception of the rest of the tribe. And I don't know if it's a true story, but it's a fascinating idea, and I think it's very true of our life, that oftentimes we don't even see the possibilities that are here around us or that are here within us unless we give ourselves the open space within our mind to perceive them. And oftentimes we have solutions to every single problem. We have possibilities to every challenge that are right here, but we can be so locked into our commitment to walking against the wind that we don't even see the possibilities. So big part of week 2 is just giving ourselves the gift to open our eyes to what is possible, opening our mind to what is possible. And I'd love for you to consider an area of your life today that may be limited in one way or another, and maybe part of that limitation is your way of thinking about it. And give yourself the gift today just to open your mind to what is possible in this area of your life. And perhaps when this lesson is over, take your journal out and write about this area of your life if there were no limitations at all, if there were no boundaries or structures blocking in your experience of this area of your life, if there was nothing getting in the way, if the sky was the limit. Give your mind and your heart and your body the gift of just exploring that. Just open your mind to the possible today and write a bit about it and see what comes for you. See what comes in this area of your life. What would happen if in this area of your life where you're feeling struggle and challenge, if you just shifted and went with the wind? Where would that take you? Do a bit of writing about that. Today we have the gift of opening our mind to what is possible in an area of life that we have all kind of looked at in a very regimented way since we were born, and that is the area of time. So I invite you to join me and a dear friend, John Francis Cohenauer, otherwise known as Cornflower, as we explore the ancient Mayan calendar of the 13 moons and the whole concept and idea that has been carried through by indigenous cultures for many thousands of years of natural time.